Hola!
Hi, everyone.
Hello, everyone. Bienvenidos, bienvenidas, bienvenidex. To another beautiful episode of Beyond the Screen. Let's get real, for real, for real.
For real.
For real. We're just going to wait a couple of moments to wait for our guest, Emilia Cruz, to log on and to get settled. So, bienvenidos, bienvenidas, bienvenidex a todos, todas, todex. Yeah, we're super excited. So, thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to be talking about some real-ish. So, grab your tacos and let's talk about it. Hola, hola.
Hi,
Hola,
everyone.
Piel de Mazapan and Marco TV and Nancy. Good to see you. So we're just going to be waiting a few minutes to wait for our guest to log on. And we're super excited. So yes, we're super stoked. We have some cool topics to talk about. Yes, we're going to be talking about Gentefied. So you know, that's coming. But yeah, we're super stoked. And it looks like Emilia's joining us here. So are you all excited? We're excited.
How do you share?
How do we share? Yeah, so yes, we're super stoked. Super stoked.
Should be
Mm-hmm.
We need like a little bit of music in the
Right,
background.
the Jeopardy music.
Hola!
Hi.
How
Hi.
are you?
Nice to see you. I'm good.
Ew.
Mama tacos.
I know, we ate ours
Oh my
already.
god. So excuse me, se me manchó la cara or something.
No
worries,
There-
no worries.
Yes.
We're all checking ourselves también a ver si tenemos cilantro in the teeth.
Oh
bro.
my god, for real.
No, you're good.
This whole time I'm gonna be talking, there's gonna be like a green thing right in the middle.
No. On last week's episode with Crystal, we made this whole thing about like taco friendships. And you're not taco friends if you can't tell your taco friend that you have cilantro in their teeth. So, girl, we got you.
Thank you. Anything like mocos, you know, any lo que sea.
Right?
You gotta let me know.
Aw.
That's
Thank
for real. That's a serious thing though.
Seriously? Oh my gosh, like I hate it so much when I'm walking around like an hour, I'll realize later on like I have something, you know, that's prominent on my face and no one tells me, but
Girl, I need to talk to your friends and be like, mm-mm.
like why?
Oh, that's so funny. Thank you for being with us here today.
Yeah, thank you for joining us.
Emilia.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, beyond the screen, reaching beyond the screen in this virtual world.
I know. We're all like getting accustomed to it.
I
Right.
know. And it's like, yeah, it's hard because it's like, you know, a lot of folks are struggling, but also the introverts are thriving, right?
Oh my gosh, seriously. I think I told you I'm like going back to my old ways. Like I had just gotten used to going out and going to events and all that, and you know, getting in the rhythm of all that, and now I'm right back like where I started when school was going on, and that's all I did was just like stay at home and work. So
Oh,
here we are again.
right?
Yes,
Oh.
yes. But I mean, but people actually get a chance to chime in también, and if they have any questions for you, I mean, we're live, so folks can you know start asking questions or whatever they would want to know about you también.
Yeah. So we're gonna have, we're just gonna have a conversation with you, Emilia. But again, if folks do have a pressing question, we did put out a call a couple of days ago and we did get some questions. So we will be reading some of those questions today. But I just wanted to, let's address the elephant in the room, como dicen, right?
Okay.
Gentefied, because that was like the number one question that we got. And the questions revolved around, how did you get involved with the show? How's the show going? Are you creating work for season 2? Like, what's going on with Netflix?
So the way I got into it, so I actually, Marvin and Linda, the two writers, they reached out to me on Instagram. Linda was following me and she just sent me a message and told me, you know, I have this cool project. I'd love for you to be a part of it. And yeah, so we set up a face chat and I just like instantly clicked with her and Marvin. Like they were both so just chill and funny, and And then they started talking a little bit about what the show was going to be like and what they had in mind for it. And I really liked what their intentions were and what they were trying to, like the message they were trying to spread through the show. So yeah, I was all for it. And little by little, like we decided on like how many pieces they were going to commission specifically for the show, and then how they were going to use the rest of my personal work for, you know, the gallery and all that stuff. So it was a little rough, I'm not gonna lie, because there was I'm trying to remember the exact timeline, but I just remember just literally like one painting after the other, having to like, just go at it. And I was so tired by the end of it, but it was worth it, obviously. Like now I look back and I'm just like, oh, you know, what an experience to have.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and it was just really cool overall, because a lot of it was kind of, well, it was shot in LA, and I think I told you they actually shot the gallery scene where I work at Plaza de la Raza, and they sent me an email. They were like, oh, we want you to come to the last scene so you can see the solo and all the setup, and it's at this location. And I saw it was at my work. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm working here that day. I'll just stop by right after. So, you know, it was really special, that moment, because it was where I work and I loved it. And yeah, so anyway, that was the really nice part. And what was the other question?
The question was, are you working on work for season 2?
No, I don't know what exactly is going on with that. They haven't touched base with me if there's going to be a season 2, or I'm going to be working with them. I'd love to, though, you know. But I don't know exactly how that works. I do know that it was crucial, like the first like month that it came out, that I got. So all that like goes into like whether or not they're going to get a second season or something along those lines, but I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, okay, cool.
But I'm hoping, you know.
Yeah, us too, because we were like hooked. That last scene, oh my gosh. I mean, the scene obviously with I mean, all of the scenes are I mean, it left on a really heartbreaking moment, but I was just super like, what's gonna happen with the art? Because of course you get this like curator who's like, how much is the wall?
Oh my gosh, seriously, that part was like, I know, I wanted to know what happened too. Like, what's gonna happen?
I'm like, please don't
please don't say too much.
Yes. Oh yeah, no spoilers. But no, I'm like, so how long, Emilia, did you have to keep your working relationship a secret before it like actually was out in the world?
Literally until it aired. I mean, I could obviously, like, people close to me, I was gonna share it and or let them know, like, hey, I'm working on this really cool project, but I couldn't actually show the work. So I was anxious, because, you know, I like to post progress pictures or, you know, little milestones on pieces, and I couldn't do that with any of those pieces. So I was like, damn it. And I pulled it all in, and eventually I'm not gonna lie, I kind of forgot. Because, you know, time kept passing and other projects kept coming up, or school and all that. And then finally, when the trailer came out and people started tagging me, and I got excited, because I was like, oh my god, it's finally here. You know, like I didn't know exactly when the release date was going to be. So yeah.
And you know, to transition kind of not away, but to transition like into the Netflix thing, you know, I know that sometimes like you get these really amazing gigs, right? And folks sometimes feel like, oh my gosh, Emilia set for life, or Girls Got Bank now, a ver enseña las monedas, right? And as fellow artists, like we know that that's not the case, you know? Like it's nice to sometimes get like these really beautiful gigs, and it's nice to not have to worry about rent or bills for a couple of months, but like then you have to like keep hustling, right? And like there's this like romanticized, I guess, imaginary realism that happens with artists, where like they get into the spotlight, whether that be, you know, Remezcla shared your work, or you know, you got into a Netflix thing, and then the expectation is that like now you get phone calls left and right from Hollywood, and that you're like booked for life. And you know, as artists, we know that that's not how it works. Do you want to share a little bit about your experience with like transitioning out of that first season and what that's been like for you?
Yeah, so I'm glad you bring that up, because that is a really good point. A lot of people kind of see you as, like you said, like you're set for life. Like you don't have to do anything more. You can just like put your feet up and just chill, and like everything else comes to you. And that's not, you know, that's not the case. And again, also I'm not set for life because of it's one show either. You know, like you said, I still have to like keep working and keep. The first, well, it's still till this day, like I still get people messaging me and saying congrats and all this stuff on the show. The first couple of days mainly though, people just kind of like bombarded me with messages and all that, and I'm not gonna lie, I was shocked. Like I know people are like, what, why are you shocked every time? But I literally anytime like I get bombarded like that, I'm still till this day just like like me really like what's going on. But it does get a little it was a little lot. Sorry, I'm getting anxious right now just thinking about it. But I'm naturally an anxious person, so I did have to kind of ground myself again, like get away from it a little bit and then come back and just like settle down and with all that. But after that too, I did get quite a few more commissions, so that was nice too. People reached out to kind of have like interviews here and there, but it wasn't anything crazy like you said, like people weren't hitting me up for other shows or I don't know, other like huge projects like that. But I am not like downplaying anything that I did get called for, but you know, it wasn't anything like I don't know, like people, like you said, think that it's you're constantly hitting up by like different shows and all that. So it wasn't anything like on that level.
No, thank you. And it's hard, you know, I think, thank you for sharing that, Emilia, because I think it's important to realize like, or bring this like human aspect back into the artist, because, you know, and I'll speak from personal experience as a fellow artist, and feel free to chime in, babe. But like that, you know, with other professions, it's like, you know, folks are like engineers, or whether they're in the sciences or the math, like folks are like, oh, okay, like there's still a raw talent there, right? Like an innate talent, because they have to be good with numbers, or they have to be good with this, or they have to be good with that, but they have to work hard at it to be a scientist, right? And with the artist, that's a little detached a little bit, because it's like, oh, you have this raw talent and you were born with it, and then you all of a sudden get handed a paintbrush and you create a masterpiece, right? And there's no work that goes into it. Yeah. And it's just like, no, like she fucking works hard and she works her ass off, right? Like, not just you, all of us, right? Like, what is that? Have you experienced any of that?
Oh, so often. It's funny because like even my little sister, it almost feels like as an artist you're not allowed to complain, because you know obviously this is what we love to do and this is our passion and all that, but people forget that it does take hard work, and it's years of experience, and it never stops. Like you're constantly going to keep going throughout your life, growing and expanding. But yeah, even my little sister, like I was just really stressed from school and complaining like, oh my god, I'm so tired, like I don't know if I'm gonna do this. And she's like, what are you talking about, you're just drawing or painting. I'm like,
gasp.
I can't with you right now. But you know that tends to happen, and I've realized that like we get downplayed a lot, just in general. Like our careers are seen more as hobbies, and they're not always taken seriously until you're at, you know, a crazy level in your career path, and then that's when people are finally like, oh, okay, like, you know, she's actually doing something here. And I get that too, where when I tell people, when they ask me like what I do, and I'll tell them, oh, I'm an artist, and I, you know, I mainly paint and all that, and they kind of just in their head they don't take me seriously, and later on when they actually like see my work or like what I've done and all that, they're like, oh, you're actually an artist. I'm like, what is that supposed to like, what does that mean?
Right, a real artist, and yeah, you're a real one.
Like, even if I didn't have these, you know, opportunities and things like that, like it wouldn't make me real. Like, okay. So yeah, that happens sometimes, but you know.
Yeah, and it's hard too, I think, también, when you have such a huge social media, like you're so visible on social media, especially, is my mic working?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
and
sorry.
you know,
Move real quick because my phone's gonna die. Okay.
oh, it's okay. See, you are a real person.
I'm not a robot, guys. I'm not. Okay. There we go.
Oh my gosh, I lost my train of thought. What I was saying. Oh, because you have such a beautiful and great social media presence. You know, I think that sometimes the human in the artist also gets lost, because, you know, as artists, you maybe are working on a project or on a piece. That's a beautiful piece behind you, by the way. And you're working, let's say, on a piece, right? And then you post one progress shot towards, you know, maybe the beginning of when, or the middle of when the work was completed. And then you may post one or two more progress shots, and then you post the completed work. And folks don't realize that, to them, they may have only seen the piece 2 times in progress, but that it really took a year to make, or that you had to put it down and paint over it 10 times, and then it went back into your fucking closet because you just, you know, it wasn't a 3-sitting masterpiece, you know? And so folks sometimes lose that human component, because on social media it looks like it was done quickly, but the reality is that you struggled through that piece for a year or 6 months or 3 months or however long it took, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I have those pieces still. Like, I know exactly what you're talking about. But yeah, definitely it's a struggle with social media. I'm not gonna lie. It, you know, it has its beautiful perks, and I love the community that I've been able to connect with through it, and you know, that's how I met y'all, and
Yeah.
it's great. Like, you know, you can talk to people that are miles away, and that's the best part. But you definitely I don't know, you get kind of like sucked into the ways it works, and I think for me, like you're talking about how a lot of people don't realize the work that goes into it, but it's also like how fast paced everything is on there, because even when you do put it out, and you do mention like how much work you put into it, and all this, and like how special it is, and like you pour your heart out in the caption, like talking about the piece, and it's just like a swipe, like you stop on the photo, you look at it, you appreciate it, like it, and then just keep going, and then that kind of way of thinking gets stuck with you, and so then the pressure's on, because you're just like, oh, okay, like this piece, you know, was received well, or maybe it wasn't, but that's it. Like I put it up, and there it goes, and on to the next one. And you just kind of get like in that mode of just like, I gotta keep creating content, and that can be really harmful.
Yeah.
And then yeah, so there's definitely a lot of things you got to be careful with social media, and I'm definitely still, I'm not a pro at all. I know it may, like you said, like it may seem like it because of numbers and stuff, but no, I'm just a regular anxious being, actually, and I'm still trying to navigate it. I think the thing with me though is that I try to be, you know, just me on social media. Like obviously there's things you don't see, but I like that I can just be authentic. Like I don't have to, like, I don't know, like curate a certain person on Instagram, and I think that's what works, and why I'm still okay with it, and all that. So yeah, a lot of different things like goes into it. So
good for you. Thank you for sharing that too. that you're just an anxious human trying to navigate the world. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
oh my God.
it's so important, you know. But yeah, it's super important. Thank you so much for sharing that. And yeah, and you know, it is, I think, especially for us, like that like the content creation component of art, right? Um, especially because like as a fellow artist, again, like when people do react to a specific piece on social media, sometimes it's not even the piece that I like, you know. Sometimes it's kind of like, what the fuck, like,
Yeah.
you know. But like when you do have like that one piece that's a standout piece, and then folks are like pouring so much love into this image of your work, right? Then it become like this chase, right? And that this chase in the sense of like now you're chasing for creating another piece that has that same impact, right? And what kind of an impact does that have on mental health, you know, as an artist? Because you're like, oh my gosh, this piece received so much love and it got shared a million times, and now my next piece didn't. Like, what does that do to you as an artist, right? And then like, okay, so that piece didn't work, and then you're creating more work trying to chase that impact again, right? And it can be so harmful. Do you experience, or have you experienced anything like that?
Definitely. And I've talked to friends where, you know, it happens to most of us, and you know, we don't always want to talk about it because we don't want to be seen as that, but it happens, you know. There's something about Instagram and the likes, they like set it up the right way. Like they knew what they were doing. So, but it, you know, you just, yeah, you definitely have to like learn that that's something that can happen, and tell yourself, you know, this isn't what like defines me, this one piece. Like and you know, I'm not gonna lie, I still struggle with it here and there. Like if something's really well received, and like you said, like I don't get it. You know, this one was just kind of like a piece I did, and I decided to post it, like cool, and then everyone loves it. I'm like, oh, okay, like I don't know what I did here. Can anyone tell me? Like, so for the next one. But no, yeah, I try to like, you know, just separate like social media as much as I can from my pieces, like while I'm making them, or just my career in general. And that's a really hard balance too, is you know, once it becomes your career, and it becomes something that you're going to make a living off of, it's hard to separate the two. So like when you're making a painting, you can't help but to think, oh, is this something that someone's going to want to buy? Am I going to be able to sell this? And or, you know, make prints out of it and have people like buy enough of them, and things like that. And it's really hard, but I do my best to not let that interfere with the piece itself and what I want to make and the story that I want to share. And even if it's not going to be received as well as like another piece, if it means a lot to me, like I want to put it out there, or I want to, like, not even just like put it on social media. I want it to come to life and be put on this piece and all that. So yeah, it's definitely a hard balance. And you just kind of have to like keep pep talking yourself, I guess. And, yeah, understanding that it's gonna happen, and like, and not to feel bad about it either. Like not beat yourself up for it, and think of yourself as like, I don't know, like this horrible person because you think that way. Like it happens, like, you know.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, you said like you mentioned that like if there's a story you want to put out there, you're gonna put it out there, right? And actually, one of your fans, Antonio Alanis, sent in a question saying, like, how do you transition from just being an artist to becoming a visual storyteller, and making sure that you are intentionally capturing a person's story? Like, what is that process for you?
That's a good
I
question.
know, right? So deep, right? It's like, I wasn't ready for this.
Oh my God. Hold on. No, I think as artists, we're all storytellers. We just do it in different ways. And I think it just comes with the process. For me, I think I've shared before that I'm not I'm not the best speaker, and I'm also not the best writer, and things that I really want to say out loud. Sometimes I can't. It just physically I can't. So it's always helped me to turn to art. And that's what I've done since I was little. You know, I go into, you know, whatever world you go into when you're drawing or painting, and like you get sucked into it. And afterwards, like you look at the page and like, oh, there it is. You know, that's what I've been trying to say maybe, or like what I was feeling and I couldn't, you know, put it into words. So I think just over time, you figure out how you want to put it on the painting. I think the story is always there, or whatever you want to say is there. You kind of have to figure out like how you're going to depict it, or like how you want to portray it. And it doesn't always have to be understood. Like other people don't have to exactly get what you're trying to say. Like it should always be for yourself first. If there's something you want to put out there, and like how you're gonna do it is like up to you. I hope that helps. You know, like it just
no,
it kind of just comes to you. It also helps to maybe like, if you are a writer, like jot down what you're trying to say, and then like sometimes I do word trees. That helps me. Like if there's certain like words that correlate with what I'm trying to depict, I'll just do like a giant word bubble, and then eventually like images start to pop up. So that's something. And what's the second question? I keep forgetting, sorry.
So the second part of that question was like, how do you intentionally capture a person's story within your work? Like, what is that process for you?
So with my pieces, so my personal pieces usually portray, it's either like my self-portraits, or you'll see a lot of my paintings with my little sister included in them, and then pieces with my friends and family. So these are all people that I know personally, and it honestly helps me to know the person, and that's why usually I make the subjects like people that I'm already like I have a connection with, because it helps me build a strong relationship with that piece from the very beginning. And so it's a mixture. Like I'll you know, the piece will be something like I'll be thinking about my own experiences, but I'll also be thinking about, you know, what that person is like, what my friend is like, or the talks that we've had, and what kind of person they are. And a lot of them, all my friends, I'm inspired by all of them, and I think they're all, you know, amazing beings, and I want to portray them in that way. So that helps me in general. I think with commissions though, those have been interesting. I'm finally at a place now where I feel pretty confident with how I can portray this person that I don't know, because usually it's people that I have no idea who they are. I've never met them and all that. But I usually try to ask them if they'll share any like background information about them, if and it could be little things too, you know, if they don't want to get too personal. It can be if they have favorite colors, or like favorite plants, and different things like that. And it's really cool now, because it's gone to the point where people, I don't even have to ask. A lot of people just kind of send me photos, and they'll share like really personal experiences or stories about this person. And I'm really grateful, and it helps me because I'm able to then, like I said, it helps me like connect with this person and grow a relationship with the painting. And then after that, it helps me bring in the likeness of the person, and hopefully I can capture the spirit in the right way. And that was always like my main concern, was like, oh no, like are they going to feel this person within the commission, and not necessarily like, does it look 100% like them, but can they feel it when they see this person? And you know, so yeah.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
And let's see, I have a question here.
Yeah.
Which one? Who are your biggest living influences?
Oh, I need to put a list together because every time I'm asked that question, I'm like, oh my god, like my brain's trying to compute because I have a long list. I've met so many like amazing artists, and I think that's what I'm gonna do one of these days is actually put like a list together and like hopefully can like shout them out somewhere. But I okay.
And it doesn't have to be artists, right?
Right.
It can be like your mom, or not. I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it can be like your living influences. Like who inspires you?
Yeah.
Oh, definitely my parents. I'm super grateful for them and all their support and the people they are. But I'm not gonna sit here like go through their life story because it'd be a while. But I just know that they're super resilient and beautiful people. Definitely them. They're not living anymore, but I'll share them anyways. My aunt, definitely, she's not blood related actually. She was my dad's aunt, but connected through marriage. Anywho, but that didn't matter. She got really close with our family and the whole Cruz family in general. And she took us in when I was like about 3 years old. We moved in with her, and so I grew up with her a lot. She was like a second mother to me basically. And she took notice in how I was always drawing, and I just constantly, and she started introducing me to different artists after that and sharing, her favorite artists, and then having us like research ones that maybe I liked, or, just exposing me to this art world and as much as she could, and would send me to art classes whenever she could too. And just definitely like she was, there from the start, like, and there for me in so many different ways, but for my art career in general too. Like she never, pushed it aside or like made me feel little about it. So there was her, and then my grandpa. So he was actually an artist too, and an architect. And in Mexico, he built a lot of different, I don't want to say like buildings, because I know when we think of buildings, we think of like tall skyscrapers and things like that. But I don't know how to describe it, but maybe I'll like post pictures later. But they're beautiful, and we can still go and visit and be able to check out his work. And he also made a lot of sculptures, and I actually got to see him work on them when I went to go visit years ago. And I sat down. I remember this like so, like it was yesterday, and I was just like sitting behind him, and he was just like carving into a stone, and he had this like really serious face on, and because he was known as that kind of person, like really serious and kind of grumpy. But with me, he was so loving, and he would just like look at me and like give me that grumpy look and then start laughing. Just, like I don't even know what I was doing, but he would just like always laugh. And it was awesome. Like I don't remember how long I sat there for, but it was for a while, and I was just in awe that someone could create this and
absorbing.
Yeah, and that definitely like followed me till this day. And I'd love to actually like later on in life go back to that same place and work on the same kind of material, and try to make the same or sculptures with that same stone. But yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
that's really beautiful.
That's awesome.
It sounds like your family's super supportive, like, and I mean, and I don't know what your space is like, obviously, like we know each other virtually, but like was your family like open to being like, I'm gonna convert my bedroom into a studio? Like
it took some time. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it was never really a full-on question. It just kind of like happened little by little. And I've definitely always been a very messy person. My mom's like the opposite. She's more of a minimalist and like super clean and always wanted to clean, and I'm not like that. When she started to notice, like at a certain age where she couldn't control like the look of my room anymore, and like I started like bringing in my own items and things like that, like It wasn't received the best, but you know, just over time, that's what happened. And at a certain point, like not this house, but I don't know, like 2 houses ago, but I had a smaller bedroom, and I had this like weird thing also where I couldn't sleep in my bed for the longest time. So I started sleeping on a sillon on the couch, and my mom hated that, but I couldn't sleep anywhere else. Anyway, so that started to happen, and over time, she got used to it and didn't say anything. So I ended up taking out my mattress from that room and just converting the whole bedroom as basically a little art studio. And yeah, they were concerned and confused, but you know, like, it's just what ended up happening. And but I think after that, they started to see that I was constantly, you know, I was always drawing since I was little, but I think during this time period, I started getting into more painting. So I was constantly like trying to make different paintings, and that's when I started kind of going into events a little bit, or different galleries and things like that. And they took notice, and afterwards, as they saw like how it's kind of like a domino effect, the more I go or the more people I interact with, the more like opportunities come. And so little by little, it just like, it kept kind of growing, and I kept working at it. And I also started going to art school. So I think eventually, like, it kind of sank in that this wasn't just like a phase or like some, you know, side thing. Like, I was serious. I was barely getting sleep. I converted the whole room into a studio. So yeah, when they saw that, they like definitely I don't want to say like they didn't take it seriously before, but no, maybe, yeah. They took it more seriously once they saw it like that. Because before that, they would bring up different like jobs that I could do, like, oh, maybe you could be a nurse, or like if you like drawing, maybe you could be an architect. And I was just like, oh, no. Drawing. Definitely can't be a nurse. Like, yeah, I'm tripping. But yeah, so at a certain point, they like finally. And I understand, like, it's hard for a lot of people to understand, like, it can be a career, or like if you work at it, it can be something, you know,
right,
that takes you further along in life. And I mean, like, not saying like it always has to like take you to this like wealthy place or anything, like that's not the goal, but just to like at least be able to sustain yourself and like, you know, be okay. Like that is possible. And I think that was a hard concept for them to grasp at first, and I totally get it now. And but I think now that they see how, like I said, how involved and how dedicated I've been for years, they're definitely like super supportive of it. And yeah, now we moved maybe like a year ago, and this house that we rent now, they had an extra I don't even know how to describe it. It's an extra room, but it has like a little closet before it. I'll have to like give you guys a tour later, but it looked like someone was already crafting in here. And I guess before I even came in, like my mom saw it, and she's just like, oh, this would be perfect for Emilia and her pinturas. And you know, she was nice about it. And then at the end, she's like, sí, para que metas todo tu cochinero. Like, I don't want to see the house. So like, you can have your own room for it.
That's so funny.
I was like, thanks, Mom. That was in your way. So
as a fellow messy artist and messy person, Emilia, how stained is your room from paint stains everywhere?
I'm not gonna lie.
Guilty.
I did a good ass deep cleaning because my floor was horrible, and like I said, it's not our house. So I got really scared. I was like, oh no, oh, what am I doing? Like I forgot like that part. And, oh my god! So I was just like scrubbing and like scraping things off. I don't even like half of it wasn't even paint. I don't even know what it was. Like, I don't know what materials I was using, but yeah. I can't wait till I have like my own actual space where I can just like go like crazy. Like paint all over the walls and things like that.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah. Oh. Well, as we get ready to wrap up, Emilia, thank you so much for being with us today. Is there anything that you want your fans, us, super fans right here, anything anything that you want your fans to know about you, or anything you want to say to them before we despedirnos?
To the next generation of young artists.
To the next,
out
yes,
there.
to young women of color, is like a powerful head of color. Like,
I definitely, I always say this, but take up space like as much as you can, because that's something oh my God, I struggled for the longest, and I still do till this day. It's hard, you know, and I think that's super important, and I'm constantly saying it, and like, you know, I've gotten people that were just like, all right, like we've heard it, and calm down, like why are you saying it so much? Because, you know, like people have to constantly be reminded and hear it, and you know, just because I see like a beautiful community now, and I'm involved with more artists that are, you know, doing a similar thing where we're trying to, you know, have more representation and portray ourselves in these paintings and celebrate, you know, more people of color. But it's like, it doesn't stop there, and that's why I'm always just like, please do your thing, like don't let anyone else discourage you. It's gonna happen, and just in general, I think as artists too, like it's gonna happen. People aren't gonna take you seriously, and or, you know, you're gonna get that negative feedback, and you just gotta keep going. Like you gotta keep pushing through all that, and even your own self-doubt. Like I'm my like biggest critic, and I constantly have to be like, shut up, Emilia. Like I want to hear you right now. So yeah, just keep hurtling through. It's all we can do, you know, I think in general in life. But yeah. And thank you for having me, by the way. Like y'all are amazing people. You say you're fans of me, but I'm fans of you guys. Like, I can't wait till we actually like get to meet in person.
Yeah.
I feel like we already have, but you know, I was
just gonna say the same thing. It feels like, you know, even though we haven't met, we've spoken a lot, and we communicate via social media a lot, and yeah, and it feels like I know you. It feels like I know you. I love you. Like you're just so badass, and so we're just super thankful that you agreed to join the conversation today, and thank you for just being open and honest. And I think that's what makes us love you, you know, so much, because you're just so real, and you're just so cool, and so thank you again for being here. Yes.
This too. Oh.
Yes. I know, and it's fellow anxious.
We're over
people
here
too.
like we're like this.
It is so cute.
Sweaty palms, and we're like, breathe.
No,
Breathe.
my pets are feeling it. Yeah. Same.
And you know what the crazy thing is it, when you were sharing one of your stories, Emilia, Abel dropped his note cards.
Oh no!
And then he just squeezed my arm, and he's like, "What am I gonna do?"
So funny. Oh my gosh! Don't even. You're fine.
Hey, it happens.
We're real people. So.
I love that.
Oh. Anyways, with that said, we love you. We see you. We appreciate you.
Oh my God. Thank you.
Bye.
Let's talk to you guys soon.
Adios.